What if I told you some of your favorite K-drama stars actually dated and you completely missed it? Some of these relationships are so unexpected, you might have to hear them twice. And one of them even earned the nickname Beauty and the Beast. In this video, we're diving into 8 real-life K-drama actor couples you probably never knew existed. And trust me, some of these will blow your mind. Let's get into it. Number 8, Lee Seung-gi and Yoona. This first one feels like a real-life K-drama fantasy, because it's literally the story of a celebrity crush that came true. Years before they ever dated, Lee Seung-gi had openly named Yoona as his ideal type. Not once, not vaguely, but multiple times on Korean variety shows. So, when the news broke on January 1st, 2014, yes, New Year's Day, that the two were actually a couple, Korean fans collectively lost their minds. It was the kind of headline that felt almost scripted. The two had reportedly started seeing each other in late 2013 after meeting through mutual industry friends. And what made their relationship so charming was just how grounded it actually was. No flashy overseas getaways, no paparazzi bait outings. Just late-night drives in Lee Seung-gi's car, quiet walks around the Han River, and short meetups near Namsan. At that point, Lee Seung-gi had already built up his squeaky clean nation's son-in-law image. And Yoona, as a member of Girls' Generation, was practically the face of K-pop visuals. Together, they didn't feel like a scandal. They felt like a fairy tale. Both agencies confirmed the relationship within hours, which is almost unheard of in Korean entertainment. Instead of controversy, the public reaction was basically, wait, he actually got to date his ideal type? But as picture-perfect as it all looked, reality has a way of catching up. In August 2015, after roughly 1 year and 9 months together, the breakup was confirmed. No scandal, no third party, just busy schedules. With Yoona constantly traveling for Girls' Generation, Lee Seung-gi deep into back-to-back drama projects. Today, the two are in completely different chapters. Lee Seung-gi married actress Lee Da-in in April 2023 and welcomed their first child. Yoona has kept her personal life intensely private and quietly transformed into one of Korea's most respected leading actresses. What was once one of K-entertainment's sweetest celebrity romances now feels like a frozen chapter, beautiful, brief, and forever filed under what if. Number 7, Shin Ha-kyun and Kim Go-eun. This is one of those relationships that makes you stop and go. Wait, that actually happened? Kim Go-eun and Shin Ha-kyun were a real-life couple that newer fans almost never bring up. But at the time, this pairing absolutely rattled the K-entertainment world. The most surprising part? They didn't fall for each other on a drama set. They got close through a scuba diving club. Yes, actually scuba diving. Both were members of the same diving group, and through shared trips and overlapping industry circles, they slowly grew closer in a way that had nothing to do with cameras or scripts. Their relationship was officially confirmed in August 2016. Kim Go-eun was 25, Shin Ha-kyun was 42. And that, right there, is what made the headlines explode. A 17-year age gap. In Korean entertainment, that detail alone was enough to dominate news cycles for days. Shin Ha-kyun was already a celebrated, award-winning veteran actor. Kim Go-eun was a rising star, the breakout face of Amuse and Cheese in the Trap. Still very early in what was clearly going to be a massive career. To people who actually knew them, the relationship was reportedly very natural. Quiet, mature, low drama, and built around shared interests rather than industry hype. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. By March 2017, after roughly 8 months of public dating, their breakup was confirmed. Once again, busy schedules. Shin Ha-kyun had just wrapped filming the thriller Room Number 7, while Kim Go-eun's career was suddenly skyrocketing thanks to her unforgettable role as Ji-yoon Tak in Goblin, The Lonely and Great God. There was speculation tying her to Goblin co-star Gong-yoo, but her agency immediately denied it, stressing there was no third party involved. Today, both seem to be in entirely different phases of their lives, and notably, neither is in a publicly confirmed relationship. Kim Go-eun has gone on to become one of the most acclaimed actresses of her generation. Shin Ha-kyun continues to be one of Korea's most respected veteran actors. Number 6, Lee Min-ho and Suzy. If there was ever a couple that looked like it was created in a lab to break the internet, it was Lee Min-ho and Suzy. On one side, Lee Min-ho, the Hallyu king himself, the face of Boys Over Flowers, The Heirs, and pretty much an entire era of Korean pop culture going global. On the other side, Suzy, the literal nation's first love, whose smile basically launched 1,000 endorsement deals. So when their relationship was officially confirmed in March 2015, it didn't just trend, it detonated. The way the news came out was almost cinematic. Photos surfaced of the two together in London, where they had quietly met up after wrapping separate overseas schedules. Min-ho had been in Paris, Suzy in London. The moment their work was done, they made time for each other. Within a day, both agencies confirmed the relationship and revealed they had already been dating for about a month. And here's the part fans absolutely loved. Min-ho was reportedly the one who made the first move. According to insiders, he reached out to Suzy earlier that year, drawn to her warmth and her grounded personality off camera. Despite knowing exactly how massive the public attention would be, he pursued her anyway, and she said yes. Their romance had this almost dreamy, slow-burn drama feel. Private trips, quiet meetups in foreign cities, low-key dinners far from Korean paparazzi. Fans stitched together flight schedules and outfit photos like they were solving a romantic mystery. And against all odds, they actually made it work, for a while. Through constant breakup rumors and relentless media speculation, they stayed together for over 2 years. At one point, both agencies even released the rare update that the couple was still going strong. For two stars at that level of fame, that kind of longevity is almost unheard of, but fame at their scale comes with weight. In November 2017, after roughly 2.5 years together, the breakup was confirmed. No scandal, no cheating allegations. Just two of the busiest people in the industry, slowly being pulled apart by the very thing that made them famous. But, and remember this for later, Suzy's love story didn't end here. Not even close. Number 5, Kim Hye-soo and Yoo Hae-jin. If there's one couple on this list that still makes Korean fans go, just get back together already, it's Kim Hye-soo and Yoo Hae-jin. This pairing genuinely shocked the entire industry when it went public. On one side, Kim Hye-soo, one of the most stunning, magnetic, and respected actresses in Korean film history. Known for her elegance and a presence that practically commands the screen in films like Taza, The Thieves, and the hit drama Signal. On the other side, Yoo Hae-jin, a beloved character actor known not for matinee idol looks, but for being one of the most talented, soulful performers in Korea. The kind of actor every director wants to work with. Korean media nicknamed them the Beauty and the Beast couple, a label that didn't sit well with a lot of fans, but instantly captured why the public couldn't stop talking about them. They first met in 2001 on the set of the film Kick the Moon, but the spark didn't happen until 5 years later, when they reunited in 2006 for the legendary film Taza, The High Rollers. According to insiders, what brought them close wasn't the drama of filming, it was something much sweeter. They bonded over their shared love of pets. Kim Hye-soo had 6 dogs at the time. Yoo Hae-jin had a cat. They kept it private for years. Then, on January 1st, 2010, Dispatch released their now famous New Year's couple exposé, the very first one of the decade, and the whole country found out at once. What surprised people the most wasn't the relationship itself, it was how deep it already was. The two had reportedly moved homes within 5 minutes of each other. Yoo Hae-jin had been quietly attending Kim Hye-soo's family gatherings. For a while, marriage rumors were everywhere. But sadly, in April 2011, after roughly 3 years together, both agencies confirmed the breakup. The official explanation was, yes, again, busy schedules. But behind the polite statement, reports later suggested the relationship had faced enormous outside pressure, including widely circulated reports that Kim Hye-soo's mother had strongly opposed the relationship. But here's what makes Kim Hye-soo and Yoo Hae-jin truly stand out from every other couple on this list. They never turned cold. In a country where exes often avoid each other for life, these two have stayed genuinely friendly, even more than a decade later. At award shows, they greet each other warmly. Hugs, smiles, gentle hands on shoulders. When asked at a Blue Dragon Film Awards red carpet who the most beautiful actress of the night was, Yoo Hae-jin instantly answered, Kim Hye-soo, of course. It's the kind of post-breakup grace you almost never see in any entertainment industry, let alone one as scrutinizing as Korea's. Number 4, Lee Byung-hun and Song Hye-kyo. Everyone knows Lee Byung-hun is now happily married to actress Lee Min-jung. Everyone knows Song Hye-kyo was once married to Song Joong-ki. But what almost nobody talks about anymore is the fact that these two A-listers actually dated each other long before any of that. It honestly sounds like the plot of a K-drama you'd binge in one weekend. Except this one was real. Song Hye-kyo and Lee Byung-hun fell in love while filming the 2003 hit drama All In, where they played one of the most iconic on-screen couples of that era. At the time, Song Hye-kyo was around 21, a fresh-faced rising star with an almost angelic image. Lee Byung-hun was about 33, already a powerhouse in the industry. That 12-year age gap raised a lot of eyebrows. But what really got people talking was their chemistry. On screen, they were electric. Off-screen, apparently even more so. But while audiences absolutely loved their pairing in All In, public opinion off-screen was a lot more divided. Critics called them a mismatch. Song Hye-kyo had this innocent, almost untouchable image, while Lee Byung-hun had a long-running reputation as a charming lady killer. And yet, the relationship was real and intense. Friends said Song Hye-kyo was deeply, genuinely in love. Lee Byung-hun didn't hide it either. In one interview from that period, he openly described her as his angel and said he wanted to marry her. Things even reached the meet the family stage. He reportedly introduced her to his parents, which in Korean culture is a very serious step. But the wedding announcement never came. After roughly 21 months together, the relationship ended. The exact reasons were never fully made public: clashing schedules, the pressure of their public images, and even rumors involving co-stars from other projects, including whispers about rain during the filming of Full House. None of those rumors were ever confirmed. What is widely accepted, though, is that Lee Byung-hun was Song Hye-kyo's first real love, and the breakup hit her hard. In the years that followed, she became noticeably more guarded about her personal life, a pattern that has continued for most of her career. Today, both have moved on in dramatic ways. Lee Byung-hun married Lee Min-jung in 2013, and they share 2 children. He's become an internationally recognized star thanks to projects like Squid Game and Mr. Sunshine. Song Hye-kyo married Song Joong-ki in 2017, only to divorce in 2019, and has since reinvented herself with powerhouse roles in The Glory, and is now about to headline Netflix's Tantara. But here's what makes this story land even harder. Lee Byung-hun wasn't the only A-lister Song Hye-kyo dated before her marriage, because just a few years after this breakup, she would fall for someone else, someone you definitely know. Number 3, Song Hye-kyo and Hyun. If there's one couple in K-entertainment history that fans still bring up to this day, even years after their breakup, it's Song Hye-kyo and Hyun. And yes, this was Song Hye-kyo fresh off her years-long relationship with Lee Byung-hun. She had stepped away from the spotlight, kept her personal life quiet, and slowly returned to work. And then, she met him. 2 of Korea's most beautiful, most charismatic, most magnetic stars, falling for each other on the set of one of the most iconic K-dramas ever made. It honestly didn't even feel real. Their story began in 2008, on the set of the now legendary melodrama The World That They Live In, a behind-the-scenes drama about people working in television. The show wasn't a massive ratings hit, but it became a cult classic, beloved for its mature, grounded portrayal of love between 2 adults navigating real careers and real flaws. And here's the thing, fans could feel something between them, even through the screen. The way they looked at each other, the softness in their scenes, the chemistry that felt less like acting and more like something already happening. Within months of the drama wrapping, the rumors started swirling, and by early 2009, both agencies confirmed it. Song Hye-kyo and Hyun were officially dating. This wasn't just any celebrity couple, this was the couple. Song Hye-kyo, already a global Hallyu star thanks to Full House and Autumn in My Heart. Hyun, fresh off the explosive success of My Name is Kim Sam-soon. Friends close to them described their relationship as quiet, mature, and surprisingly grounded. They reportedly spent a lot of time at home rather than going out, preferred low-key date spots, and were known to support each other through the relentless pressure of being 2 of the most photographed people in Korea. For a while, it genuinely seemed like they might go the distance. But then, life got in the way. In 2011, after roughly 2 years together, the breakup was confirmed. Hyun was preparing for his mandatory military enlistment as a Marine, one of the most demanding branches in Korea, while Song Hye-kyo was juggling international projects and major brand commitments. There was no scandal, no third party, just two people who ran out of time. And by all accounts, the breakup was deeply mutual, deeply respectful, and deeply sad. Of course, Hyun would go on to find his happy ending years later with Son Ye-jin, marrying her in 2022. And Song Hye-kyo would marry Song Joong-ki and divorce him, before stepping fully into the powerhouse era of her career. But for a moment in time, these two were untouchable. Number 2, Lee Dong-wook and Suzy. Remember when I said earlier to keep Suzy in mind? Here's why. Years after her very public 2.5-year romance with Lee Min-ho, Suzy returned to the spotlight with someone absolutely no one saw coming. Out of every relationship on this list, this might be the one that genuinely made fans do a double take. Because if you had asked any K-drama fan in early 2018 to guess possible celebrity couples, Lee Dong-wook and Suzy would not have been on anyone's radar, not even close. On one side, Lee Dong-wook, the tall, sharp-jawed Grim Reaper from Goblin, an actor with one of the most private, mysterious images in the entire industry, who had been quietly working since 1999 with almost no public love life to speak of. On the other side, Suzy, the nation's first love, fresh out of one of the most high-profile relationships in Hallyu history. So when the news broke in March 2018 that these two were dating, Korea collectively short-circuited. Fans were refreshing articles, checking the date, wondering if it was a mistranslation. Lee Dong-wook dating publicly with Suzy, but it was real. And here's the part fans loved. Suzy had actually named Lee Dong-wook as her ideal type years earlier on SBS's Strong Heart, long before she became the Suzy. So when reports said the two had met at a private gathering and started developing feelings, it gave the whole story a surreal, full-circle quality. Their agencies confirmed it almost immediately. But almost as fast as the fairy tale began, it ended. By July 2018, just 4 months later, both agencies confirmed the breakup. The reason was the one we've heard so many times before: busy schedules. The 13-year age gap also fueled relentless public scrutiny from day one, and the pressure had clearly taken its toll. And here's where the story takes a turn most fans don't talk about often enough. Since that breakup in 2018, Lee Dong-wook has never been in another publicly confirmed relationship. Not one. In an industry where dating news leaks constantly, this quiet, private actor has stayed completely off the radar. Suzy was, and still is, his only public romance in a career spanning more than 25 years. But after watching what happened with Suzy, the headlines, the backlash, the scrutiny, it's not hard to understand why he's chosen to keep that part of his life entirely to himself. And finally, number 1, Jung Sung and Lee Ji-ah. This is one of those real-life love stories that started like a glamorous K-drama and ended like a full-blown plot twist nobody saw coming. Jung Sung, one of Korea's most respected leading men, often called the face of Korean cinema, and Lee Ji-ah, a rising actress at the time, grew close while filming the 2010 spy thriller Athena, Goddess of War. The chemistry was obvious to anyone watching, but no one really expected what came next. In March 2011, photos suddenly surfaced of the two together in Paris. Clearly more than co-stars, clearly a couple. And here's where it gets unusual. Most Korean celebrities, when caught like that, go into full damage control mode. But Jung Sung didn't do any of that. He confirmed the relationship, plainly, honestly, almost immediately. In an industry where romance is usually treated like a state secret, that kind of openness was genuinely rare and refreshing. For a moment, it looked like the perfect co-star romance. Two beautiful, successful A-list actors stepping out together with nothing to hide. And then, just a month later, everything fell apart. In April 2011, a bombshell hit Korean media. Lee Ji-ah had previously been secretly married to Seo Taiji. Yes, that's Seo Taiji, the legendary singer-songwriter often called the godfather of K-pop. Even more shocking, she was now in the middle of a major legal dispute with him over divorce-related claims. Overnight, the entire narrative around her shifted. What had been a glamorous, headline-grabbing romance instantly became one of the biggest celebrity scandals of the year. The focus suddenly stopped being about Jung Sung and Lee Ji-ah as a couple, and became entirely about her past and the legal storm surrounding her. The pressure was unmanageable. By May 2011, barely 2 months after going public, the two had quietly broken up. The reason wasn't a lack of feelings. It was simply that the chaos around them had become impossible to weather as a new couple. And here's the part that makes the whole story even more bittersweet. Years later, Jung Woo-sung quietly revealed in an interview that Lee Ji-ah had actually told him about her past marriage during their time together in Paris, long before the news leaked publicly, meaning he knew. He chose her anyway. Their relationship wasn't built on lies. It was built on a secret she trusted him with. Right before that secret was ripped out of her hands by the media. In the end, this love story didn't collapse because of cheating or fading feelings or boredom. It collapsed because the storm around them was simply too big for two people to stand in together. And that's our list. 8 K-drama actors who once dated in real life, each with their own behind-the-scenes story you'd almost never guess from watching them on screen. Which couple surprised you the most? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm always reading them. Click on this next video if you want to see actors who stayed together for years. No breakups, no scandals. One of them has been dating for over a decade and still hasn't put a ring on it.